now that I have your attention, we're going to read through these because the Oboomer? What was his name? The guy from the last president? Anybody remember that dude's name? I don't know, because it seems like we never talk about him because he came out with a pretty cool thing recently. Obama. We're gonna read this, okay? One of the things that he promotes is called Campaign Zero. Oh, Biden's friend, that guy. Oh no. Well. Oh wait, I already have this up. Nice one, Destiny. Okay. These are cool because this is a website that lists out, okay? This can be your talking point, okay? Every time you have a conversation on what should we do about the police. This is a website that has all of these great research-based suggestions, okay, about how can we do things to help us with the police. Guess what? Well, never mind, I won't say that, but like... So... Here we go. Number 1, end broken windows policing.
Hassan and his friend LARPed Antifa yesterday on some alumni UCLA gathering.
Nice.
Was hilarious. Megalil.
Okay, so real quick, let me explain what broken windows policing is. Wait, does this link to like a wiki? Okay. So the idea, it's a good idea. The idea behind broken windows policing is basically the idea that once a community begins to fall into disarray, it will accelerate. So for instance, if you're walking down the street and you see like a piece of trash laying on the ground, if you're walking down the street is perfectly pristine and clear, you're less likely to throw trash on the ground. If you walk on the street and there's a few pieces of trash, well, who cares if you throw some? If you walk by the street and there's like a fuck ton of trash, like, well, fuck it, just destroy it. Who cares, right? Or it's called broken windows because, like, if you're walking by a building, the window's shattered, it seems like the neighborhood is in disrepair. Fuck it, who cares anymore, right? So the idea behind broken windows policing was, hey, if we crack down on minor crimes, maybe communities will kind of like take care of themselves more. So that was kind of the basic idea behind it. Now, results of this in terms of effectiveness have been mixed, but it is inarguable that it has led to an incredibly disproportionate amount of policing amongst minority communities. And like certain crimes that get cracked down on are like absolutely like disproportionately enforced. And it causes disproportionate enforcement, meaning there are more cops in black neighborhoods catching them doing more crimes that maybe white people do, but just like a whole bunch of like bad shit kind of came out of this. A decades-long focus on policing minor crimes and activities, a practice called broken windows policing, has led to the criminalization and over-policing of communities of color and excessive force in otherwise harmless situations. In 2014, police killed at least 287 people who were involved in minor offenses and harmless activities like sleeping in parks, possessing drugs, looking suspicious, that means black in a suburb, by the way, or having a mental health crisis. These activities are often symptoms of underlying issues of drug addiction, homelessness, and mental illness, which should be treated by healthcare professionals and social workers rather than police. It does seem kind of fucking weird that we call the police for every fucking thing in society. That it's like a Swiss Army knife. Like, holy shit, like, the police are coming. Why? Well, what's outside? Well, it could be a criminal, could be a guy that just looks suspicious or weird, could be a dog that looks dangerous, could be a mentally ill person, could be a homeless guy. Like, just call the police. Seems kind of strange that we literally call the police for literally every single fucking thing. Okay. Policy solutions. End policing of minor broken windows offenses. The following activities do not threaten public safety and are often used to police black bodies. Decriminalize these activities or deprioritize their enforcement. The consumption of alcohol on streets. By the way, it's early, so I know there are some Eurobros here. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but in America, I think in most states, it is illegal to drink alcohol on the sidewalk. I do not know why the fuck this is a case. I can go out in California right now, and I can rip it up with I could take like the tri-joint from fucking, I can't find this, from fucking Pineapple Express. I can fucking marijuana the fuck out of myself. I can get blasted for days on the sidewalk with cops walking by me. But if I crack open a Bud Light, something that is barely even considered fucking alcohol, they can come over and give me a fine. It is illegal. Okay? Cross-joint. Is that what it's called? Sorry. It is literally illegal to drink alcohol on the streets. If you're confused by this, if you didn't know this, this is why in movies, sometimes you'll see people on the street drinking alcohol out of like a brown paper bag. Fuck, I can't find a fucking video of it. I don't want to image search. I'm too scared. But you're like, oh, I guess maybe they just like bought it in the bag and they drink it out to be cool. The reason why is because you have it in the paper bag, because then a cop can't pull you over and say, hey, why are you drinking alcohol? Because they need probable cause. They should to pull over and ask what you're drinking. I think they actually have something about this in The Wire. Where the... I don't think it's legal to smoke weed in public in California. I'm almost positive. I think you can. I can have a joint in public in California. I'm pretty sure it's okay to do it in LA, right? Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you can, can't you? I'm getting mixed answers in chat. Let's check real quick. Can you smoke weed publicly, LA? This says they're considering opening a place where you can smoke pot in February of 2019. Oh, okay. Sorry, maybe you can't. So you could have a joint in public, but you can't smoke it, maybe. Well, this was a year ago, though. I don't know if it's changed since then. Regardless of whether it's legal or not to smoke weed, the fact that you can't drink publicly is dumb as fuck. Anyway, yeah, paper bags, alcohol, dumb shit. Consumption of alcohol in streets, marijuana possession, disorderly conduct, trespassing, loitering, disturbing the peace, including loud music, spitting, jaywalking, bicycling on the sidewalk. Okay, the last one is just wrong. Bicyclists oftentimes need the hand of the law to come down on them. Okay? But these are things that like cops should probably not be focusing their time on. Example, the Respect State Marijuana Laws Act 2015. Amends the Controlled Substances Act to provide that provisions of such act related to marijuana shall not apply to any person acting in compliance with state laws relating to the production, possession, distribution, dispensation, administration, or delivery of marijuana. Policy solutions. End profiling and stop and frisk. Establish enforceable protections against profiling to prevent police from intervening in civilian lives for no reason other than the suspicion of their blackness or other aspects of their identity. This should include immigration status, age, housing status, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, disability, HIV status, race, religion, national origins, protected groups. The right for people to seek court orders to stop police departments from profiling. Bans on both intentional profiling and practices that have a disparate impact on protected groups. Ban stops for furtive movements, such as reaching for a waistband or acting nervous. Ban stops for being in high crime area. Ban stops for matching a generalized description of a suspect, i.e. black male ages 15 to 25. Require officers to establish objective justification for making a stop and to report every stop, including location, race, gender, whether force was used and whether a firearm was found. And the use of predictive policing technology, which uses systematically biased data to enhance police profiling of black people in communities. Prohibit police departments from using resources to investigate, interrogate, detain, detect, report, or arrest persons for immigration enforcement purposes. Prohibit police departments from transferring an individual to federal immigration authorities for the purposes of immigration enforcement. So not handing, like if you arrest an illegal immigrant because they, were speeding or some shit, not just handing them over to the feds. Or to ICE more specifically. And then prohibit officers from being placed under the supervision, federal agencies, or deputized as special federal officers or special federal deputies. So, I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure this is a Hassan fan trying to stir up shit. Just elaborate on this, please. You said in a moments of anger, people say what they truly mean. Then why do you tell someone to go back to their own country? This is a highly offensive man for an immigrant. Well, good luck back in your own country then. I'm making fun of Hassan for the fact that he said that, Trump was going to deport his family. If you want to read more into that, is like, I hate Turkish people, knock yourself out, dude. I really don't give a fuck. Whatever group of people you belong to, I hate you too, my dude, okay? But I love black people, okay? Thank you, JLP, for making me see the light. Wait, I feel like my... Oh, okay. They're not made anymore. I'm sorry. Fuck.
Hassan and his friend LARP.
Stop! We already listened to this. Okay. Swen tier 2 sub. Thanks, bud. I appreciate it. Did you even see a cop in Nebraska? Yes, actually. One of the cities that are near Omaha is called Papillion. It's one of like the most police cities in the entire fucking country. So I got my first speeding ticket at for going 39 and a 35. Or it was 29 and a 25. And I'm even white. I had fantastic encounters with the cops before. I remember one time, me and my girlfriend in high school, we used to drive to a little park, and we used to hang out at just like a little park or whatever. And I remember that we were chatting in the front seats, and out of nowhere, like a cop car pulled up behind us, which I thought was like really weird. And then a few minutes later, like 5 other cop cars pulled up behind us. And apparently somebody came up to, or not apparently, but one of the cops came out of the car. They asked my girlfriend to get out of the car at the time. And then when I was asking what was going on, the other cop was like, you can stay in your car right now. Apparently they questioned my girlfriend because somebody had called in and said that I was holding her hostage. That dude, fuck Papillion. That was like the ultimate like white people complaining about every fucking thing. People call the cops on you for every reason there. After like 20 minutes, the cops fucked off. And then they came back 10 minutes later because another lady called in to say that me and my girlfriend were fucking in the car. She was literally on her period. We weren't doing anything at all. We were literally just chatting the entire time. It was so fucking stupid. I feel that the people doing the edgy revolution LARPing are mostly white because they don't have a distinct cultural identity to feel a part of, so they have to compensate these political tribes, even have group identifiers that distinguish them from the mainstream, like anthems, flags, symbols, to compensate for the lack of being in a culture. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Like in the way that like Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro, no, it'd be like Jordan Peterson and who else is like, yeah, like Jordan Peterson had this like pretty unique niche where he appealed to like these kind of like disaffected white guys that didn't feel like they belonged anywhere anymore. Maybe now that he's a vegetable, maybe now like the socialists are sweeping in and trying to pick up all these guys. Oh yeah, like Dave Rubin, yeah, like pick up these guys. Now that Jordan Peterson has become Pickle Rick, maybe these people are getting picked up by socialists now, so they feel like they have some place to belong to. Is Jordan Peterson even relevant anymore? No. So Jordan Peterson had some, is it a kidney problem? And for some reason, he decided to fly to Russia. People are saying he's okay. I'm pretty sure, I think he might be either severely brain damaged or he might be in a coma. People are saying he's okay. I tried to read this. Oh yeah, it was because he was addicted to benzodiazepine, however you call this, benzos. People are saying that he's fine in chat, but I don't think they've made any public appearances or any public statements or anything at all. I feel like it's possible that he might have had some like cognitive impairment. Do you think? Maybe not. Maybe he's actually 100% totally fine. I tried to look for information on this like a week ago because I was curious. Oh, 9 weeks ago, he said he was in the process of writing his next book. Maybe he made a complete recovery and everything. Yep, you got me, dude. Hold on one sec. They have good detox facilities in Russia. Stop talking about topics you know nothing about. I'm pretty sure we can detox people from benzos in the United States, but okay. Maybe that's just such an elusive medical practice that we have no idea.
Clear your throat, Nathan W.
So why don't people vote, Destiny? I don't know. There could be a multitude of reasons why people don't vote. I can't speak from the perspective of all groups. One thing that I feel like affects the groups that I'm most familiar with, like online, is because local politics are boring. Like, nobody wants to think about, like, what can I do in my city? Like, we want to think about, like, what can we do in the country? What can we do in the world? Like, what is the United States' place in the world? Let's talk about the Paris Climate Accords. Let's talk about immigration. Let's talk about social health care, universal health care. Like, everybody wants to talk about things at the federal level, and nobody really cares. Nobody really cares that much about, like, I don't care who the commissioner of police is. I don't care who the fucking, like, sanitation director, like, or whatever, like, all the random shit or whatever. Like, people seem to not care as much about that. There are also definitely other things that we can do to improve voter participation in the United States. For instance, like, election days should definitely be days off, like 100%. Have you seen this Deepak meme?
Encore, s'il te plaît, encore. C'est magnifique.
From last year.
Magnifique.
Good one.
Yo.
Establish alternative approaches to mental health crises. Mental health crises should not be excuses for heavy-handed police interventions and are best handled by mental health professionals. Establish and fund mental health response teams to respond to crisis situations. These approaches have been proven to reduce police use of force in these situations by nearly 40%. God damn. That is a big double-digit number. A big double-digit number. And should include establish a team of mental health professionals, social workers, and or crisis counselors to send as first responders to calls involving mental health crises, such as the Cahoots model implemented in Eugene, Oregon. Involvement of this multidisciplinary team in planning, implementation, and response to crises. At least 40 hours of crisis intervention training for police officers. For example, the LAPD mental evaluation team. Wait, hold on one second. Sorry, hold on one second. People talk about defunding the police. Okay. When people talk about defunding the police, like, on its own, it doesn't mean anything. Like, you don't want to defund the police. What we want to do is more intelligently allocate our resources to departments that can more effectively enforce certain things. So if somebody says, well, we need to defund the police, take $1 million away from the police, take $10 million away, right? What you want to do is, well, we don't want to just, like, get rid of all of our ability to do anything in society. What we want to do is we want to, like, so for instance, like, this is a good example, like a mental health crisis response team. Like, instead of having police officers called when there's, like, a homeless guy, like, running around, like, being crazy, maybe somebody more appropriate would be involved in being called to this scene, right? Like, maybe a police officer with a gun and a taser isn't the most appropriate person to deal with a schizophrenic homeless guy that's running around on the street, right? Maybe somebody, right? It's like, if you talk about abolishing the police, like, you can talk about that. But there's like more that goes into that rather than just like people. I don't know. Like some people are really good at this. Like I look at some of my Instagram stories. Some people, when they say defund the police, they couple it with all of these other talking points, which is good. But other times I hear people talk about like just defunding the police, and they don't really follow that up with anything. Like it almost feels like a abolish capitalism statement, or just like some whatever shit or whatever. Abolish police is also garbage optics for getting. Yeah, that's true. Abolish the police is this garbage fucking rhetoric that is going to sound extremist to every single person you talk to. I saw the funding grabs posted on Twitter that showed that like police were getting hundreds of millions in city budget. Like this? Why are you linking this meme? I don't understand if that was the right tweet you were supposed to link. Okay, stories like this are worthless. I've seen this posted 50 million times. Minneapolis City Council members looking to disband the police department as schools and... Okay, the Minneapolis City Council members are looking to... how many members? Looking to disband, what does that mean? Is this like 4 people on the council? We're like, oh yeah, like that'd be cool. Like... Ward 3 council member Steve Fletcher announced the effort on social media, saying that he and other council members are looking to disband the Minneapolis Police Department. Like, several of us on the council are working on finding out what it would take to disband the MPD and start fresh with a community-oriented, nonviolent public safety and outreach capacity. I mean, like, this is a cool idea, but, like, this is like a far cry from anything happening. Like, it's like 2 people. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, steps in that direction are good. But, okay, sorry, where were we? Look at all these studies that they've got for things about broken windows policing, like racial profiling and stop and frisk. Wow, so many cool things, okay? How can you justify your claim that people from Vietnam should be forced to undergo anti-communist indoctrination if they want to immigrate? Where the fuck have I ever said that? Any comment on when the fuck have I said that? What? Okay. Here, I'm linking this in chat again, because all you motherfuckers should be using this constantly, okay? Number 2. Argonlo, I'm just going to throw a bunch of wild accusations at him and hope he picks one up. Oh, okay, nice. Good one. Police usually investigate and decide what, if any, consequences their fellow officers should face in cases of police misconduct. Under this system, fewer than 1 in every 12 complaints of police misconduct nationwide results in some kind of disciplinary action against the officers responsible. Communities need an urgent way to ensure police officers are held accountable for police violence. Policy solutions. 1. Establish effective civilian oversight structures. Establish an all-civilian oversight structure with discipline power that includes a police commission and civilian complaints office with the following powers. The police commission should determine policy for the police department based on community input and expertise, share policy and policy changes in publicly accessible formats, discipline and dismiss police officers, hold public discipline hearings, select the candidates for police chief to be hired by the mayor. This is very interesting. Evaluate and fire the police chief if needed, receive full-time competitive salaries for all members, receive regular training on policing and civil rights, not have current, former, or family police officers as members, select its members from candidates offered by community organizations. The Civilian Complaints Office should receive, investigate, and resolve all civilian complaints against police in 120 days, establish multiple in-person and online ways to submit, view, and discuss complaints. Wait, real quick. I don't always agree that, like, I know that some people can see it as being improper to have, like, people that were involved in something now being involved in oversight. Like, sometimes you want those people there because sometimes they can tell you things that like otherwise normal people might miss. So like for instance, like having like a police officer involved in like a complaints board, you might get a complaint about a cop, and maybe people are like, oh well, I don't think this is a big deal, but the cop might know a reason why, like, well actually, like the police officer could have done this or this would be a reasonable expectation. Like they might have more insight into into what's going on. Rather than just civilians. I mean, if they're all elected, I think it's okay. You'd probably have to balance it though, right? You don't want like a trustee board of like fucking cops making decisions about cops, because then we've eliminated the entire thing for we've eliminated the entire purpose of what we're doing, right? Yeah. In retrospect, how high do you regard Obama's presidency? I think he did what he could, but you have to keep in mind, and a lot of people do this, okay? One, you can't really blame Obama for police shit. Most policing decisions are made at local levels. Obama's not going to walk to your fucking city. Obama's not going to fucking drive into Atlanta and get you a new police chief, new police commissioner, and like restructure your system. Most of this shit happens. Most of this shit happens at the local level. Number one. Number two, Obama didn't have Congress for 6 years. Okay? Now, regardless of what you think the president does, he's actually not that powerful that he can single-handedly run Congress. And in some ways, Congress is even able to take powers away from the president. So, for instance, one of the reasons why we elect a president is to have them elect a Supreme Court pick. That didn't happen with President Barack Obama. Merrick Garland was a Supreme Court nomination that he had that the Senate refused to hear. And they even triggered the nuclear option to end debate over that too. Using only 51 votes, they were able to say, nope, no Senate, no hearing for you for your Supreme Court justice. Unprecedented move in American history. But the Civilian Complaints Office should be allowed to interrogate officers less than 48 hours after an incident where deadly force is used, access crime scenes, subpoena witnesses, and file penalties for noncompliance, make disciplinary, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Civilian Complaints Office, this would be good. Third-party oversight, police investigating other police, people that work in the district courts that know the police investigating other police, probably not a good idea, okay? 100%. I just got here. What is Campaign Zero? Is it a good cause? So Campaign Zero was, I don't remember if this initiative was started by Obama or if he just references it in his op-ed, but basically this is like, people get mad about shit. Well, what can we do? What can we actually do to change it? And then this is something that is like, here are like 10 very clear policy proposals, or 10 very clear issues with policy proposals, where it's like, if we were to implement these things, this is how we fix like policing in the United States. Or at the very least, these are several big steps in the correct direction. Did you read Obama's op-ed? Yeah, it was really good. Hassan shot on it for 30 minutes on stream. Not surprising, he doesn't know how government or anything works. I'm sure Hassan's argument went something like, why didn't Obama fix the policing problems in the U.S., ignoring the fact that, one, Obama can't do that, two, Obama didn't have Congress for 6 years, and three, that's about as stupid as saying Obama was elected. Why isn't racism gone now? Of course. Okay, number 3. This is a big fucking deal in the United States. Police and use of force is fucked, okay? Man, I see police videos sometimes. Hold on. Man, can I find... there are police videos where I feel like they do their job really, really well in like really fucked situations. Damn, I'm not going to be able to find it. Was it like highway homeless guy police? think you had on any. I can't. Basically, like these guys there was like a homeless guy with a fucking knife that was walking around in like traffic and shit, and these cops were like trying to move him into an area. They weren't pointing their guns at any cars. They were maneuvering about as responsibly as they could. And then you see videos like the guy in Texas where the cop literally shoots him after asking the guy. Black guy gets out of his car. Police officer's like, hey, I need to see like your license and registration. And the black dude's like, oh, okay, sure. Goes into his car to get it, and the cop's like, yo, what are you doing? Boom, boom, boom. And it like fucking just opens up on the guy in a fucking public gas station. Holy shit. Like, sometimes police seem to like do good with use of force. Sometimes police are fucking horrible with use of force. Oh my God. In the United States, it feels like we escalate so quickly and get so deadly so fast for no fucking reason. Okay. Police should have the skills and cultural competence to protect and serve our communities without killing people, just as police do in England, Germany, Japan, and other developed countries. In 2014, police killed at least 253 unarmed people and 91 people who were stopped for mere traffic violations. The following policy solutions can restrict the police from using excessive force in everyday interactions with civilians. Establish standards and reporting of police use of deadly force. Authorize deadly force only when there is an imminent threat to an officer's life or the life of another person, and such force is strictly unavoidable to protect life as required under international law. Deadly force should only be authorized after all other reasonable alternatives have been exhausted. Require that an officer's tactical conduct and decisions leading up to using deadly force be considered in judgments as for whether force was necessary. Require officers to give verbal warnings when possible before using deadly force and give people a reasonable amount of time to comply with the warning. Require reporting of police killings and serious injuries to civilians. Require the names of both the officers involved and the victims to be released within 72 hours of a deadly force incident. We've got revise and strengthen local police department use of force policies, end traffic-related police killings and dangerous high-speed police chases. I think in some places, high-speed chases of people who have not and are not about to commit a violent felony. I think that I'm pretty sure in Florida, you're not allowed to... I don't think you're allowed to pursue people up to a certain speed because there's no fucking point. It's literally just a risk to you and everyone around you, and you don't actually gain anything by doing it.
A coworker tried to argue that the power police are able to wield was equivalent to that of firefighters, conveniently ignoring the difference between an enforcer and a rescuer.
Sure. Monitor how police use force and proactively hold officers accountable for excessive force. I'm pretty sure in the military, all my military friends keep telling me this is correct, but I haven't actually read of this as part of military policy. But I'm pretty sure it's part of military policy in the army. You have to account for every round you fire. If you start letting off rounds at some fucking encounter, you have to file what is it called? There's a name for the reports I think you file or whatever. You have to keep track of your engagements or whatever in military conflict. It feels like cops don't always have to do that. That you can have hand-to-hands with people, you can rough someone up or whatever, and you can't literally some of these are never reported and it doesn't matter. Wait, what the fuck is this? I don't know if I want to watch this. Okay. Police use of force project. Campaign Zero reviewed police departments' use of force policies in 97 of the 100 largest U.S. cities. 8 use of force policies were found to be associated with fewer police-involved killings and killings of police officers. Learn more at useofforce.org. What was that graph? Wait, did they get the same parallax-involved developer for every single fucking... I don't understand what this requires de-escalation thing means. How the fuck are you not required as a police officer to de-escalate? These should be written into, like, department policies. That's insane. Also, what is this restrict shooting at moving vehicles? Why the fuck do so many places shoot at moving fucking vehicles? There's no way a cop has ever landed a fucking shot on somebody driving away in a goddamn car. I don't believe it, dude. If a car is moving towards you, they can or can't shoot at you. Even if you shoot at somebody driving you in a car, even if you hit them, there's no guarantee it's not going to hit you or cause other damage. Like, also requires exhaust all other means before shooting.
Is it really fair to tell protesters they have to vote when they're probably the ones most likely to be involved in local elections? Could you substantiate the claim that protesters aren't voting?
I mean, just look at the average age of voters in the United States. And also, if all of the protesters were voting, if the majority of the people voting were, like, younger or affected by these issues, then these other people wouldn't be winning elections. Like, it has gotten better. So, like, the last midterms that we had were pretty good. Among 18 to 29-year-olds, voter turnout went from 20% in 2014 to 36% in 2018, which is the largest percentage point increase for any age group, a 79% jump. That's good. Among Hispanics, voter turnout increased by 13%. This is coming from the U.S. Census Bureau, so I assume the data is accurate. So I'm assuming this is percentage of eligible voters. 65 plus, 60% in 2014. 2018, 66%. In 2014, 45 to 64, almost 50%, almost 60% here in 2018, right? Like, the older you are, the more you vote. These voices are always going to be disproportionately represented. I don't think your reasoning is sound. Protesters aren't voting, which you can gather from how little young people vote. A small portion of young people are protesting to begin with. Oh, sure. I guess it's possible that maybe the majority of the protesters are voting. I guess that's possible. Yeah, no, that's possible. Logically, that could follow. Or it doesn't logically follow to say that protesters aren't voting because young people aren't voting, even if all protesters are young. Sure. I guess I get a little bit upset sometimes when I hear a lot of people say things like, voting isn't what matters right now. What matters is protesting or rioting. Or like, we tried voting, it doesn't work. Well, no. No. People don't vote. That's the problem. We have developed this model use of force policy based on a review and analysis of effective use of force policies across the nation. The policy includes evidence-based informed restrictions on police use of force that are designed to significantly reduce police violence in communities. It should be adopted by police chiefs and local elected officials without delay. Independent investigations or prosecutions. So this has been talked about a little bit before as well, with like having another council set up. Lower the standard of proof for Department of Justice civil rights investigations of police officers. Use federal funds to encourage independent investigations or prosecutions. This is something where the federal government can step in. Establish a permanent special prosecutor's office at the state level for cases of police violence. Require independent investigations of all cases where police kill or seriously injure civilians. Community representation. While white men represent less than 1/3 of the U.S. population, they comprise about 2/3 of U.S. police officers. The police should reflect and be responsive to their cultural, racial, and gender diversity of the communities they're supposed to serve. Moreover, research shows police departments with more black officers are less likely to kill black people. When you have police officers in a community, ideally, the police officers, hopefully, should look like you. It's kind of like when you go to court and you have like a jury of your peers. Like, you don't want to go to court as a black person and the 12 people on the jury are all white people. And like the case is whether or not you murdered or raped like a white person. Like, that's just not a...
Do you love black people?
Okay. Anyway, increase the number of police officers who reflect the communities they serve. Require police departments to develop and publicly report a strategy and timeline for achieving a representative proportion of police officers who are women and people of color through outreach, recruitment, and changes to departmental practices. Use community feedback to inform police departments' policies and practices. Require a regular survey, for example, the Milwaukee survey, to be fielded to the community to gauge their experiences and perceptions of the police and use this information to inform police department policies and practices, police officer evaluations, and police officer pay incentives. I like that they list like little states. Look, they have all these examples of things that states are doing. Federally, guys, it can be really fucking hard to get things done. And sometimes working at local or state levels can provide like a pathway towards everybody coming on board with things. So for instance, for gay marriage, that was a thing that individual states started to move on before we finally got a Supreme Court decision that was like, all right, everybody hop on board. Or for marijuana, right? We've seen a lot of states become a lot more lax with how they police cannabis. And hopefully we're getting closer to a modification of the CSA, of the Controlled Substance Act, to where we're not going to be policing like marijuana the same way that we do. Or for sanctuary cities, for instance, that have decided when we arrest somebody, even if they look like an illegal immigrant, whatever the fuck that means, we're not going to turn them over to ICE. We're not going to turn them over to the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement people or to the Department of Homeland Security, right? Like, even if it seems like everything needs to happen at the federal level, oftentimes in the United States it doesn't. Oftentimes things start at the local level, and then when they have success in different parts of the country, then we move up, and then we eventually make them federal. Yeah. Ugh. Okay. Next one. Body cam / film the police. While they're not a cure-all, body cameras and cell phone videos have illuminated cases of police violence and are shown to be important tools for holding officers accountable. Nearly every case where a police officer was charged with a crime for killing a civilian in 2015 relied on video evidence showing the officer's actions. To be clear, body cams are not a catch-all. Body cams do not fix everything. But they help. It's a tool that goes into into everything that's we would want to do for like police reforms. Somebody said, what does it actually mean to be a sanctuary city? Like, what does that entail for a city that opts to be one? So my understanding is that if you arrest somebody and you find out that they don't have proof of like their citizenship, what you could do is you could turn that person over to the feds. You could say, hey, listen, like, sure, you were speeding here, but like you don't have proof that you're a citizen. I'm going to send you to the feds. You're going to get processed by ICE and you're going to get deported. Bye. Now, what some cities have elected to do is some cities say, well, okay, this is a sanctuary city. What that means is that if you come and report a crime or if you get caught for a crime or whatever, if we don't see that you're a citizen, it's whatever. If you're not committing like federal level crimes or whatever, like you're never going to get handed over to ICE, right? If you're an illegal immigrant, we're not going to send you over to the feds just because you get pulled over for speeding or for committing some crime or whatever, basically. Somebody said body cams were off in Breonna Taylor's case. Good. Like, sometimes people say that, like, that's an example of, like, body cameras not working. But in that case, if all the body cameras get turned off at a particular moment in time, that in and of itself looks really fucking bad, right? Like, that in and of itself can draw attention to a case where it's like, well, hold on, right? Like, like, if police turn their body cameras off That could be an indication that some fucked up shit is happening that we wouldn't know otherwise without body cameras at all, right? I would rather have cops that have body cameras that turn off when they do fucked up shit rather than no body cameras at all, because it's like, oh, cool, okay, well, you turn your body cameras off, like, looks like some shit is going down.
Sweats, didn't he?
Sorry, but I mean, like,
GG and saw I was white.
Obviously, we shouldn't have, obviously they shouldn't be turning their body cameras off, but like, yeah. Body cameras require the use of body cameras in addition to dashboard cameras and establish policies governing their use to record all interactions with subjects who have not requested to be kept anonymous, notify subjects that they have the option to remain anonymous and stop recording such storing footage if they choose this option, allow civilians to review footage of themselves or their relatives and request this to be released to the public and stored for at least 2 years, require body and dash cam footage to be stored externally and ensure district attorneys, civilian oversight structures have access to the footage, require police departments whenever they want to deny a Freedom of Information Act request for body or dashcam footage to prove in court that the footage constitutes a legitimate FOIA exemption. Permanently delete footage after 6 months if this footage hasn't been specifically requested to be stored. Include a disciplinary matrix, blah, 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 blah. Lots of things here related to this, but... Oh, this was one Erg brought this up in chat. Consider whether cameras or mandated footage are tampered with or unavailable as a negative evidentiary factor in administrative and criminal proceedings. So if you don't have the footage, now it counts against you. The right to record police. Ban police officers from taking cell phones or other recording devices without a person's consent or warrant, and give people the right to sue police departments if they take or destroy these devices. One problem that I don't know if this is going to bring it up, or maybe it talks about it in one of the studies I cite here, is this is going to cost money. You're going to need money to do this, possibly a lot of money. You're going to need cameras for everybody. You're going to need new cameras on a semi-yearly basis. You're going to need to pay a whole department to store and track this information. You're going to need to pay server costs. So for all the people that are mad about how much we spend on the police, there's going to be more that goes into this. This will require additional funding. Training. The current training regime for police officers fails to effectively teach them how to interact with our communities in a way that protects and preserves life. For example, police recruits spend 58 hours learning how to shoot firearms and only 8 hours learning how to de-escalate situations. An intensive training regime is needed to help police officers learn the behaviors and skills to interact appropriately with communities. The fact that a police officer can spend the same amount of time you spend in a fucking stop class for a speeding ticket to learn how to de-escalate situations is pretty crazy. Also, more training is also going to be more expensive as well. But have you ever at one point in your life wanted to make your Cuban heritage part of your identity? I'm asking because I think white socialists have to compensate for their lack of cultural identity. Not really, actually. I just don't care much about like cultural identity or whatever. Like, I have a collection of things that I enjoy. I have a collection of personality characteristics that I attribute to myself. I don't really care if I neatly fit into some other identity, or I don't feel like I need identity for purpose or any shit like that. Fuck that shit. However, most people do. Not to take away from that or whatever. People are saying, how about requiring cops to have a bachelor's degree? I mean, if it shows that that's effective, sure. I don't know if it does or doesn't. Nice Trump tweet. Invest in rigorous and sustained training. Intentionally consider unconscious or implicit racial bias. These are the two policy lines of thought for this. Guys, I might take tomorrow off. I have not been sleeping at all. Holy shit. Okay. And for-profit policing. One thing that capitalism excels at is if there is a problem and there is money to be made fixing it, money will flow to that area. Capitalism distributes capitally highly in a ruthlessly fucking effective manner. Whether you make something legal, illegal, whatever the fuck, capital will find its way to that problem. If you make it a problem that there aren't enough people in jail, you better fucking believe people are going to spend money to put people in jail. This like for-profit police stations and shit is beyond fucked up. It's insane to me that this exists. Police should be working to keep people safe, not contributing to a system that profits from stopping, searching, ticketing, arresting, and incarcerating people. End police department quotas for tickets and arrests. Ban police departments from using tickets or arrest quotas to evaluate the performance of police officers. 2. Limit fines and fees for low-income people. Pass policies requiring local governments to ban issuing fines or arrest warrants for civilians who fail to appear in court for a traffic citation. Ban generating more than 10% of total municipal revenues from fines and fees. Allow judges discretion to waive fines and fees for low-income people or initiate payment plans. Prohibit courts from ordering individuals or on parole or probation to pay supervision fees and other correctional fees. I'm curious with the Ferguson policies. What does this mean? Hold on. Uniform fines, not unicorn, sorry. One thing that this will never happen in the U.S., but I've heard it happens in some places. Sorry, hold on. Fines should absolutely be scaled with your income. It is unconscionable. That's a word, right? That fines are flat in the United States. When I was poor, if I got pulled over for speeding, that fucked the next few months of my life up. Some of those tickets, like $170, $180 for going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, will fuck your life up for months on end. As a wealthy person, I have my car fucking towed. And the most annoying thing is I have to take an Uber to the yard to get it out. It's just annoying. The fact that fines are not like disproportionately given, or the fact that fines are just flat, is unbelievable. I can't believe that in the U.S. But I think in most unconscionable, something like that is what I'm looking for.
Big WEALTHSTINY.
What is this fucking graph? How would the fine amounts be calculated? Off of last year's tax returns. How old is Destiny? Uber's been around for that long? No, like when I got my car got towed. My car got towed when I was in San Diego, and it was like $400 to get it out of the fucking yard for like 2 hours. It was stupid as fuck. But being poor and having your car towed sucks. Holy shit. Because it gets more expensive every single fucking day, and you gotta find a ride to take you down there. Holy yikes. This graph. This is a good-ass meme graph, dude. Huh. Limit fines and fees for low-income people. True. Prevent police from taking the money or property of innocent people. Prohibit police from seizing property of civilians, like civil forfeiture, unless they are convicted of a crime and the state establishes by clear and convincing evidence that the property is subject to forfeiture. Okay? If you create a fucking drug car that you got like decked out to like fucking run drugs, that shit should be jacked from you. If you get caught smoking weed in your car, they shouldn't be able to take your fucking car from you. The idea that the civil forfeiture, there's a lot of dumb shit relating to civil forfeiture. Okay. Stop generically telling us to vote in response to all the police brutality we have right now. Yes, we should vote, but we have to be very specific. Democrats from top to bottom are running the cities with the worst police brutality in America right now. We voted for them. Okay, just because somebody's a Democrat doesn't mean that they're going to pay attention to their issues. Okay, if they're not being elected on certain issues, they're not going to vote. They're not going to focus on certain issues, and they're not going to campaign on certain issues. Okay. Oh, what else did we have? 221 image intensifier night vision goggles. 1.464 billion. This is in millions. Is that really $6 million per thing? Why does that seem so expensive? Am I doing my math wrong? 6 million times 221 is 1.36 billion. Why are these 1.4 million, not billion? Oh, sorry. This is million. My bad. Okay. So this is in thousands divided by 221. So like $6,600 each. Okay. This all seems pretty expensive, but way more reasonable probably. Mark III Mod 0. What the fuck is this shit? Knives? What? I don't know what this is. It's a combat knife? It says quantity 4. Does that mean like 4 boxes? Why the fuck would our police? There's no way that these are knives. It must mean something else. Toolkit, general mechanics. Individual meals. $2,873 for $287,000. That's $100 a meal? What the fuck kind of meals are these? MREs aren't this expensive, are they? Could be multiple meals in one kit. The Mark III Mod 0 are bomb disposal robots. Gotcha. Is this... You would never get AR-15s from the military, right? You'd only get M4s if it says 5.56 rifle. Can you swap out parts on like an M4 to get like a rail on a barrel or whatever, like rails and barrels and shit? Or is it really hard to do that with M4s? It's super easy. Oh, okay. $70 tents. Laundry containers. Nice. Diesel engines. Fibrous rope. I feel like I'm looking at my D&D inventory sheet. Microwaves. Okay. Fair police contracts. Police unions have used their influence to establish unfair protections for police officers, their contracts with local, state, and federal government, and in statewide law enforcement officers' bills of rights. This is something that I've talked about a lot. I'm trying not to bring it up that much anymore, okay? Because I understand it gets old, but Unions exist to protect the rights of the people in the union. That's it. A union doesn't give a fuck about society. Unions don't give a fuck about the public. Unions don't give a fuck about the social good. All unions do is exist at the pleasure of the people that are in the unions. That's all they care about, okay? Don't ever forget that. These provisions create one set of rules for police and another for civilians and make it difficult for police chiefs or civilian oversight structures to punish police officers who are unfit to serve. Learn more about how police union contracts help officers avoid accountability here. We can. Policy solutions. Number 1, remove barriers to effective misconduct investigation and civilian oversight. Keep officers' disciplinary history accessible to police departments and the public. Ensure financial accountability for officers and police departments that kill or seriously injure civilians. Campaign Zero reviewed the police union contracts in 81 of the largest U.S. cities. 72 of the 81 cities' contracts imposed at least one barrier to holding police accountable. Why? Who cares about them if they don't vote, Pixie? That's the problem that nobody understands. Nobody understands us on the left. If you don't